Hi everybody. So I'm gonna try this. It is very windy. We'll see if y'all can hear me. You may not be able to hear me. But I'm gonna talk a little bit about the problems that are being brought about by people like there's Sage. The people like Dot. Can't think of what the end of her name is. Dot something. Rumble. Dot Rumble and WSU Kim. There's also a guy, but interestingly enough, it is incredibly windy. It's incredibly windy. It's incredibly windy, so I'm gonna try to do this. I may have to abandon this attempt and go in the house. But anyway, so the problem with the stories like related to WSU Kim and DOT Rumble is that, well, first of all, one of my observations is that they all seem to be connected to the same people, which are not. I mean, that's suspect, right? That's unusual. If there are literally tens of thousands of people that watch in fact, even millions of people that are subscribers in the true crime genre on YouTube. And my question would be, why is it that only this few people with this explosive, shocking information, why are they associated with very specific channels? Why don't we have people coming out to Annie Elise on 10 to Life? You really do have to ask yourself this. And it is also interesting to me that the channels where these people are being given platforms for their extraordinary tales are also channels that were really, really active in the Watts Island. Shanann was a Munchausen by proxy, unusual stories related to that terrible, those terrible murders, family homicides. So that's, that's the first observation, is something's wrong. Something's terribly wrong. If you're a person, after all of the information that has come out on social media as well as mainstream media, if you're a person who believes that you stood on a balcony overlooking the backyard or the side yard of 1122 King Road, you believe that you watched a survivor, Dylan Mortensen, smoking weed at 8:30 in the morning with these other nefarious characters that have been made famous through the YouTube nonsense. You believe you saw Dylan Mortensen doing this, and yet her story is that she did not come out of the house until 11 or so, and the 911 calls were made, shortly after that. Why in the world, if you believe that you told the FBI and the local law enforcement this extraordinary tale that Dylan Mortensen is one of the most shady liars on the planet, and you saw it, you're an eyewitness to it, you don't doubt it at all, and you went to law enforcement and told them, and they gave you the brush off because they were engaged in some fantastical cover-up, why aren't you going to Fox News with your story? Why aren't you going to CNN with your story? Why aren't you going to a channel like 10 to Life or Scott, the attorney, Scott, I went blank. So why aren't you going to some of these big channels and getting your story out there? Because this is dramatically important if it is true. And I think we probably, the majority of us, we already know that it is not true. And it is good for views. It is good to make that money. If you are a creator who is giving these people a platform, then the people that look to YouTube for their, I guess, socialization time, leisure time spent chatting with others, then those are people or personas that are bringing in views, and that's good for you. You have a stake in the game, right? I mean, it is not a bad thing, to make a little money off of giving someone a platform, letting them tell their tale, regardless whether you agree with their tale or not. Now, here's where the problem is. Okay, look, money is hard right now. Inflation is extraordinary. It's very difficult to go to the grocery store and just buy enough groceries to make a meal for 4 people and get out of there with less than $100. So I'm not going to, any way you got to make money to survive in today's world, then knock yourself out. I'm good with it. Here's the problem, though. The problem is that we are going to trial. This case is going to a courtroom, and it is going to require that these attorneys and this judge be able to seat a jury. That's the truth. And we all know, we've seen it, people that say, no, I don't know anything about this case. I've been living in a cave, and I don't have, any access to the outside world, and I don't know anything about the Idaho 4 or Brian Kohberger or even the Long Island serial killer. I don't know anything. I'm the best juror that you can possibly find. And then we get flashbacks to Strawberry Shortcake in the Scott Peterson trial. That in fact, this person knew exactly who Brian Kohberger was, and they had been watching all of WSU Kim's nonsense and Dot Rumble's nonsense. Now, I feel a little bit bad about Dot Rumble. I listened to several of these videos, last night, and I don't think she's, sometimes people believe things that may not be true, and they're not doing it because they're trying to hurt someone. But there are people that just need a little extra attention, and they will knowingly tell a lie because they like the attention or because they like being the ultimate troll, right? Let's face it, we got a lot of people that are living alone in today's world. And Friday and Saturday night gets very long and lonely when you don't live with anybody. And maybe 1 or 2 or some of these people are making these stories up, and it gives them a sense of importance or a sense of belonging that people are talking about them. Oh, it is 100%, in my opinion, the same woman that was involved with the Kylie Rodney. She, in that story, she also claimed to be the mother of one of the kids, didn't she? And all of this, we did this, and we did this, and our this, and our that. We. She is not a part of the, what she likes to say, Wazoo family or the University of Idaho family. She says that she lives 6 hours away. She says, well, now I'm safe, and so it's okay if I talk about these things. Okay, so what you want us to believe is that your very life was in danger because of the information that you had. And so what did you do? Like any rational adult, you jumped on YouTube to tell the whole world about this highly dangerous information that you possessed, and then you had to move out of state. Are you in witness protection at this point? It's silly. The story has gotten silly. So I will say this. I fully expected that there would be kids that knew these four, possibly parents, that they would come out and they would tell their stories, right? I did expect that. However, let me ask you this question. You as a mom or as a dad or grandparent, or even a best friend, if your child or your best friend or your grandchild was intimately connected with the murder of one of your friends, and you gave your statement to the police, to the prosecutor, and they asked you, please keep this under wraps. This is going to be a very difficult case to prosecute because we have 4 victims. We got a guy who understands investigations and how to cheat the system. So we need you to be very quiet. We need you to keep this under wraps. We don't want you out telling your story, because this guy, the guy that killed your child's friend, or the guy that killed your grandchild's friend or your best friend, this guy could walk if we make a mistake. We really want you to keep things under wraps. But what you've said to us, we need that information to be kept quiet. And then you find out the judge in the case has put an actual gag order in place. And now you're going, damn, I guess it really is important for me to be quiet. Let me ask you this. Would you be going around telling people the highly sensitive nature of information that you had? Or would you go, no, I don't want this monster, this killer on the loose. I'm going to keep my mouth shut so that this prosecutor can do his job. What would you do? I think I would be quiet. I don't think I would violate the direction of law enforcement. And if you are a person who has this information, if you've had the FBI come around and has done interviews to get the information that you have, they will tell you to please, keep it under wraps. You got a trial coming up. You got a jury you got to be able to seat. You got a prosecution that you have to be able to complete. They would tell you, please stop, be careful. So if you are living in the state of Idaho and you've been watching all of this coverage, stories, wild speculation, facts, the whole kit and caboodle related to the Idaho 4 murders and then Brian Koberger specifically, how will you ever get out of your head the crazy things that WSU Kim has said? Because single-handedly, WSU Kim has established this narrative that the cops, the entire police force, possibly even the state police, that they were all corrupt as hell. Every one of them. Every one of them. And that things that have been done, it's all done because the cops are drug dealers. Every one of them. And the owners of the rental properties, they're in on it too, people. In fact, maybe we got this new, we have a female informant that's come out and said they were making snuff films. Do you know how absurd this story has gotten? They could not sell this storyline to Netflix, I promise, because it is patently just simply unbelievable. And you don't even really have a bad guy because you've pointed your finger at all the bad guys, and the only one that hasn't been spotlighted as a bad guy is the guy whose DNA is on the damn knife sheath. Don't you guys think this is for clicks and views and money? Every time the story begins to cool off, Guess what? We get a new extraordinary claim. And this go around, people began to realize, hey, wait a minute, WSU Kim, this sounds like WSU Kylie Rodney. This sounds like this exact same woman. Oh, wait a minute. I think it's also WSU Eugene, Oregon, crashed Hyundai Elantra Kim. Think it's the same one. I think her name was Jen, and then it went to Jordan. I mean, it was all kinds of names. So this time, instead of, a new fact, a new extraordinary and sensational fact getting interjected as people begin to wake up and go, oh, wait, I think it is the same lady. No. Now we introduce entirely new players. So now we have Dot. Dot Rumble is now on the scene. It's about money. And that's okay. Trust me, I don't care. But at least when you are watching these videos and you're listening, especially if you live in Idaho, try to remember that this is all it's like a live action movie where there's never an ending. Each new day you get to write a new chapter in your movie. So you get to watch it over and over, never ending. Same exact thing happened in the Chris Watts thing. The Chris Watts story, it took years for people to quit adding new facts. Extraordinary, sensational facts. Nothing boring and humdrum. And now we're doing it again. I believe WSU Kim is the ultimate troll. And it's a job. She's getting paid in two ways, possibly by money and without a doubt being paid with attention. I mean, it's no mistake that the family that she modeled, her own family, her persona, WSU Kim, the family she modeled herself after was one of the most famous families to ever come out of WSU football. That's right. Scott Pelleur, her supposed husband, he played for WSU and then he went on to play for the NFL. Her son was one of the greatest linebackers to ever come out of WSU. She then, once her son graduated from WSU, which was almost 5 years ago, people, not right now. He doesn't play football last year or this year. Almost 5 years ago, the guy graduated. And after the graduation, Kimberly Pelleur and her husband, Scott, got a divorce. And since that time, Scott Pelleur has died of cancer. So we don't really know who WSU Kim is, but I do believe that it's pretty certain she was very active during the Kylie Rodney case, building up content to make money on with videos. And I think the same thing is happening right now. And because people have now uncovered the whole fraud, now they're having to introduce new players. So the reality is there's something shady about Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk. Like I've said before, it's entirely possible they simply just weren't there that night. They didn't get home till 9, 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. They didn't want their parents to know that they were out, up to no good, I guess you could say. And so they wove a tale with the police that's just... They've just jumped from the frying pan into the fire because they were trying to stay out of trouble with their parents. They didn't want to lose face with their parents. I think that's a possibility. It is highly unlikely that these two young ladies are drug dealers and gangsters, and now we got them as being, assassins. Just stop. The whole thing is silly. and there are people that are watching this that will get called for the jury pool, it's just, it's wearisome at this point. All right, but make that money. They're definitely make enough money to buy groceries, and that is a very good thing. Y'all have a good day. Bye.